the day. I wrote this with a guy named David Lee Murphy, and we was talking about politics or something, and which you should never do. And I said something like, well, this world's going to hell in a handbasket. And David said, oh, everything's going to be all right. This song also won a CMA award. And if you ever get a chance to win a CMA award, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. She rattled the ice in my plastic cup. I said, yes, ma'am, fill her up. Tell me something good that I don't know. This world been kicking my behind. Life ain't been a friend of mine. Lately I've been feeling kind of low. She looked back over her shoulder, pointing at the sign hanging up on the wall, and said, everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Nobody's gotta worry about nothing. Don't go hitting that panic button. It ain't near as bad as you think. Everything gonna be alright. 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 Everything gonna be alright. 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 Yeah. Well, I'm going to move it right along. I'm going to try a little activity here very shortly. I will tell you, I mentioned David Lee Murphy. David had that might be a little dust on the bottle. Huge artist. He's out with Chesney all the time. And such a huge songwriter. He's had, I think, something like 29 #1 songs. Just amazing songwriter. He's somebody I really wanted to connect with years ago. And I remember, David and I have had a few #1s together that we've written. And we've had a lot of cuts together, and we still have recordings together. We still have a lot of success together. But that successful relationship, probably the most successful relationship I have in Nashville, was a direct result of my story of the day. Now, I would tell you that your story of the day oftentimes, maybe it's great. Maybe you just got some amazing things happen. Somebody in your family just had a baby. You just, I don't know, you got a new home. You just things are, maybe you and your spouse, you're getting along. It's so good, it's harmonious. And the kids are like, little flappy winged angels that just drop down from heaven. And your mother-in-law, she's out of town. It's working. It's working. I love my mother-in-law. But I don't know, but the day that I met David Lee Murphy, I was having a crappy day. And let me tell you what, people need to know that they're not the only ones having a crappy day. Sometimes your crappy day could be the greatest tool you have to connect with others. My wife and I just had our second baby. This baby was pooping like 3 babies. I'd never seen anything like it. And I had a 4-year-old treat my shins like a soccer ball. He nearly fractured my left one that morning. I had a limp. We just got back in our house. Our house was quarantined because we had mold in the basement. And so for 2.5 months, we'd been living with my mother-in-law. For 2.5 months, we lived with my mother-in-law. Okay. My wife was going through a post-pregnancy situation. She was a hormonal thing. She didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. And she would cry at the drop of a hat. And I just knew an abundance of love seemed to really help that situation. So I was managing that, juggling that. I was going home to this weekend to a family reunion, and I wasn't looking forward to it at all. Because, as it turns out, my family's crazier than your family. All right? So I had all of that on my shoulders, and I was just dealing with it. And I remember I had guitar in tow. I walk in, I'm going to meet David Lee Murphy for the first time, and he's going to ask me how I'm doing. Right? And what do we normally say? He's going to, how you doing, Jimmy? Good. The kids, everything? Oh, they're so good. Wife, that's great. We're getting along so good. And career couldn't be better. My God, everything's good. Okay, let's create something out of nothing to be successful. It can't happen. There's no connection. I had guitar in tow. I walked in and I said, hey, David, Jimmy Yeary. He said, hey, Jimmy, good to finally meet you. David Lee Murphy. How are you doing? And I said, well, David, I'm honestly, I'm having a crappy day. He said, tell me about it. I said, I'm going to. I said, I might need to go to the bathroom and wash my hands, right? I might have poop on them. I don't know. All I do, David, is I change diapers. I was just at the changing table. It was a color I'd never seen. It smelled like, and it was just, and the phone rings, David, and I got to answer it because it's all staked. And our house has been quarantined, so we had mold in the basement. I've been living with my mother-in-law for 2.5 months. He said, I'm sorry. I said, thank you. And so I answered the phone. I said, ma'am, can I call you back? I'm changing a diaper. And she laughed and said, sure. I said, so David, I hung up the phone. I went over. I changed the diaper. I give the baby to my wife because I got to get going, man. I don't want to be late. And I'm like, what am I doing? David, she's got this thing going on that I don't understand. It's a hormonal thing. She'll cry at the drop of a hat. I just know a bunch of love seems to really help. So David, I go back and I really give her a big squeeze and I tell her I love her. She's everything to me. And then David, I get in my truck. I get on the interstate and I'm getting ready to call Allstate back. And my mom calls. And I got to answer it, David, because I'm going to a family reunion this weekend. And I'm not looking forward to it because my family's crazier than yours, David. And he said, no, they're not. I said, "What?" So I answered the phone, and I said, hello, and Mom was like, hey, honey. I said, hey, Mom. She said, honey, you still coming home for the family reunion? And I said, yes, Mom, I can't wait. And she said, well, honey, unless everybody's going to go to the bathroom in the woods, you're going to need to rent a porta-john because the septic system's overflowed, and they can't get to it until next week. And I said, okay, Mom, I'm not doing anything. I'll take care of it. I love you, too. Bye-bye. Anyway, David, I was here 10 minutes early. I'm 10 minutes late because I've been 20 minutes out in the truck trying to get Allstate to give me money for once. David, you asked how I was doing. That's how I'm doing. How are you doing, David? And David proceeded to tell me how he was doing. He started telling me about a little spat he and his wife had that morning. He started telling me about his kids that know everything. He told me about his mother-in-law that walks in without knocking. We got to know each other. I feel like I knew David Lee Murphy as well 10 minutes after walking into that room as I do today. And we were able to create. We were able to start a business together. We were able to start being successful together as a team. We liked each other. We trusted each other. We found out we both were human. We wrote a song. I better get with it so I got time to do what I want to do.